All right, let's go ahead and get started. Could I get anyone to take notes today? I can try and grab some notes. I'll grab some notes here and there.
I can take notes first.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, all right. Let's see. I don't think that I see any new faces, so I think we can jump right into this. First thing up, we have open RFCs. Currently, we don't have anything that isn't in draft. Um, I know that Jericho has been talking about needing to get enough time to update the multi-arch proposal, as I have been talking about getting enough time to update the dependencies from the build packs. I think I talked about this last week. I'm contemplating opening basically an adjacent RFC to this that's sort of around just the interface for how to do this and keep this open and as a sort of repository for the original conversation, and then maybe just build a couple of RFCs up that are effectively this and close it once we have an implementation. Um, I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit on the idea of the next step because, like, I kind of have like the artifact, because I have to come up with something that's like, what is the artifact? What is it? How do we actually publish it? Where does it go? That sort of thing. And then, once we have an artifact, we can talk about a way to interface with that artifact outside of a normal place. So I'm just trying to think. I think ultimately probably what it'll be is here's a tar ball. Inside that tar ball, there's a series of metadata files. There you go. Uh, and that might be what we end up doing. But I'm still thinking it through. Um, and then I don't have any updates on the multi-arch proposal. Any questions on either of these? No. Okay. Then I think that we can just jump right into C&B updates and questions. Does anyone have any updates or questions from or the upstream? I guess not upstream, but the C&B project. No? Okay. Are there any larger project updates? Nope. All right. I think that means I think this is you, Jan. We can just jump right into your discussion topic.
Yep, sure. So we kicked off like looking into Noble a while ago by creating, I think, I think I created repos for stacks and Pickles builders, and we at least filled. I think we wanted to start with full, but there was something blocking us, so we went back to base so that at least some number of build packs could start looking into that. I think we looked into the CPython creation that has been merged meanwhile. Although, interestingly enough, with the release that now announce Noble support based on how the Buildpack TOML is generated in the automation, this release doesn't yet support the Noble download. It's not yet part of the Buildpack TOML. But my team told me that the automation will add it once a new CPython version comes out and the automation kicks in. Let's see. Anyway, so I think this thing is released. It should in principle be there, but if there's no new CPython version, then the automation doesn't jump in to actually create and add a dependency to the buildpack TOML that has a stack support for Noble.
What we might need to do is just like create a PR with an empty build pack toml and run the sort of like population script on top of that. And that should repopulate everything with Noble included.
Okay.
I I don't know. I don't know if that's something that needs the intervention of a. I imagine it's probably something that needs the intervention of a maintainer because it would involve going in and manually running an action on a specific branch.
Mm-hmm. You mean you would do that on a branch with an empty build pectometer, but then on that branch the action has to run.
And then
Yeah,
merge that
maybe
in.
that needs like I guess technically I could do it. Like I think like as a steering committee member, I have like God permissions in GitHub, but I don't like the idea of using that.
I think I
Actually.
think it's probably
But
reasonable to just reach out to the Buildpack maintainers
yeah,
and say, "Hey, is it possible to get a way to regenerate the dependencies?"
Yeah,
and
I'm on the Python team. I can look into that.
oh cool, great. And then other than that, so I mean, basic facts. The release from Canonical side out, it's still scheduled for the 24th of April. Um, I started a Slack thread that's like it's a bit of a summary to make people aware of that here, right? So I started a Slack thread, I think in core dev, to reach out to some people. I think from the Java folks, somebody actually replied. And then that brought back the topic of do we want to start that with ARM64 from the get-go? But that still seems to kind of interfere because like ARM64 is still in the making, right? I think there's a custom build pack command lines for creating build packs and builders and stuff like that. So despite the fact that Noble is released soon, maybe we should first get the ARM stuff in. I don't know. Seems to be the more requested feature. It's not really blocking us. We still plan to like internally release as soon as Canonical announces release, but as we anyway produce our own stacks and builders, I think we don't get into interference there. So that seems to be fine. And I think ARM64 is the most rated feature anyway. So I guess it makes sense to start these new set of builders directly with support, and it seems that we need to wait for getting the ARM64 support there in order to continue with Noble.
Yeah, I think it would make sense because we'll have to do a conversion of almost everything to ARM64 at some point. So just roll it into that. I assume probably what will happen is we will just change the, like GitHub config to uh create every stack with a ARM64 variant, and then that'll just get picked up automatically by the Noble stuff, and overnight it'll just start shipping.
Oh, we did that, I think, for the stack. So the base stack that we produced, I think, is ARM64 immediately.
Yeah.
But the builder would involve actually using some handcrafted pack command line.
Right. Sorry. What I mean
So,
is like whenever pack
yeah,
has full support for doing the multi-arch build,
yeah.
we'll just probably I mean, I assume we're just going to make that standard on every builder we release, or I don't know, within reason. I don't
Yeah.
know what that is, but
Yeah. So it might still be interesting to hear if somebody actually got the time or found the time to test whether there is anything blocking the adoption of Noble from a Buildpacks perspective. I think nobody really did. I think we probably internally validated that for the parts of Java and Node that we consume. But it might be interesting for others as well to test that. To get Noble out of the door. I think within reasonable time we should actually provide a Noble stack and a Noble builder or set of builders, and actually start deprecating Jemmy, right? I mean, it's still 3 years out, but I think some guidance for users to actually go to the latest versions of the LTS makes sense. I mean, Canonical has some things they just don't fix in older LTSs. They're probably not as crucial as the others, but with the hype cycle of SBOMs and vulnerability management, I think people will appreciate to get newer packages, even if there are no crucial vulnerabilities in the older ones, but Canonical stops to fix them.
Yeah, I think that I would be happy to start or to have like a just formalized deprecation process once we have full support for Noble.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
And then I think that would also save us from sort of the pickle that we found ourselves with Bionic, where we were kind of like, this is end of life. Okay, bye. Sort of like we can
Yeah,
we can
exactly. Yeah,
we
like
we can set up now. Like Jammy is, I guess I don't know. Yeah, Jammy is deprecated, and if you like, or I don't know that it's deprecated. Jammy will hit end of life for support. Here we recommend that you use the latest because that's just the
yeah,
best thing. But if you want to use Jammy, sure, go ahead, go nuts.
yeah, true. Deprecating is too harsh of a word for something that's perfectly valid to run on it for 3 more years. But
Mhm.
I think we've seen with Bionic, which I'm not sure if we actually did the follow-up of really removing the tags. I think we didn't, right? We just gave it a test run. So there are still people using Bionic. And I think with being 1 or 2 years earlier than we were with Bionic, this can be avoided or can be thinned out.
Yeah, just maybe, yeah, I guess taking the time now to talk about what we're actually gonna do and how we're gonna switch over. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how that works. How that would work for like somebody like or something like a project like Spring moving over. Like we say like, is it like we fully support Noble, they then support things running on Jammy for however, I don't know what Spring's thing. It's like 6 months, a year, or something around there, right? And then they can shut down their own Spring support and deprecate it internally after some period of time, and
Mhm.
then do a seamless transition at that point. That probably seems like the right idea.
Yeah. I mean, one idea I think I don't know. I think I put it on Slack. I'm not sure if it was a private conversation with you and Daniel or something public. We could consider at some point in time reusing the old names for builders for Bionic for having some kind of a moving target thing, right? Where we control, like people can actually say, give me the kind of latest. I don't want to know too much. You figure it out for me, and then bringing people up to later LTSs. But that's a different topic entirely.
Yeah, that feels like that's interesting. That feels like more of a convenience feature because I don't know that I could
Yeah.
ever recommend anyone using that if they were trying to have like any actual guarantees under it. But like, yeah, oh, I don't care what builder I'm using. Just give me the full builder. I don't care if it's running on Jamie. I don't care if it's running on Noble. I don't care if it's running on whatever comes after that. But I don't know that that helps. That's an interesting like convenience concept because I guess my only thing is like I don't know that that helps us like do transition people, except maybe outside the idea of like the user that's using our provided builder now like just kind of automatically gets upgraded and doesn't ever notice. Yeah, maybe that's interesting. I don't know.
But
Um,
that's about it. It was more of an update. Maybe it should have been in the project update section, but anyway.
the only question I have for this is I understand that they're releasing on the 25th. Um, is the idea that I assume that the idea isn't that we have like parity by the 25th, like all build packs run on both uh Noble and Jammy.
I guess we are actually far from it, right? That's just like 10 days left, and not really much work has yet gone into that. And I think ARM64 is also not that far. So I currently don't believe that we will have anything that's really close to the release of Noble. Um, I mean, we could in theory, but I actually like maybe Java isn't much testing needed, but the ARM64 thing still is there. If we want to go with ARM64 immediately, and it sounds like a solid idea, um, given that it's a highly requested feature, then I guess that's taking a couple of months still, right? I mean, there's a Google Summer of Code project to get a multi-arc pack build a thing. Right now, it's just for creating those things, so I don't know yet when this would be the right time. Maybe we don't have to wait for pack build to be able to produce multi-arc application images, but we definitely need to wait for a kind of officially released here's pack and how you create multi-arc builders and multi-arc stacks and multi-arc build packs with it. Well, we can go there. So I don't think that we'll have this or see this in April. I guess if we see that this year, we're good.
So I guess in that case, then is I'm just trying to think of what's the actual, if we were to make like a blog post or something like that, is the idea that we say Noble is in Noble has been officially released and as sort of like an experimental or trial thing for, I don't want to use the word thing, as an experiment or trial, we have created a set of stacks. They aren't fully at parity with Jammy, and they are only supported by Java. Maybe if I can get my act together, I could probably throw Go together relatively quickly, that sort of thing, right? Just a couple of languages. Feel free to try it out. Give us feedback. We'll have another announcement when it's like all languages have reached parity, and we'll have another announcement when like ARM64 is completely supported as well. Is that how you would want to roll that in terms of like announcing it?
Oh, that's actually a question. Like I got from some of the feedbacks that people would prefer if we don't announce anything until ARM64 is supported.
Oh, okay.
And as long as there is no demand for now, like let's wait. Maybe people will start asking for Noble when Noble is released, right? And then we can maybe reconsider. I guess at least languages like for the static builder like Go and others and Java and Node as well, for those will be a relatively quick win. I think they all anyway have stack stars already in there, a lot at least. So there's maybe even nothing to do. For Java, I don't even know what the kind of dependencies are there. I think that's the higher up you go in the hierarchy, like with PHP, it might be more involved to actually figure out if the new LTS supports everything nicely, and we could go that right for these languages that are in tiny or base. We can probably be relatively quick if the demand comes up. If there is no demand for Noble, I'd just wait out the ARM stuff instead of going back to having these stacks without ARM support and then later introduce that and have a discussion within the community, because it seems that ARM64 is a feature that's really in high demand with both outside and inside of the community. So I'd be fine with that. If we want something else, we need to push that because it's not going to happen on its own, I guess.
Sure. I just wanted to know what the expectations were for the deadline, or not the deadline, the release date, and if the expectations are it's been released and we don't say anything about it, and then once we have the feature scope that we want to, and then we announce the full thing, then I'm totally fine with that.
I just wanted to chime in on the ARM64 side of things. You're so right. Like there's so many questions around the pack release that we need and using the experimental pack and breaking people. I personally have time set up like this week to chat with some of the people from CMB and kind of figure out a plan forward for like a timeline and just kind of understanding like what that will mean for our like rolling out ARM64 in the like more widely in the project. So as soon as I've spoken to them and I have a better idea, I'll come and share it here or send it in Slack or something so we can make a better decision on how we want to go forward with that.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Nice. Right. Is there anything else that people would like to talk about in open mic discussions, or does that wrap Ubuntu Noble? I guess I should start with that. Great. Is there anything else that people would like to discuss?
Not much of a discussion, but I was having a meeting this morning with some people who are very interested in the multi-art stuff because they want to look at doing S390 build packs. So
S390 build pack.
Yeah, so I've encouraged them to join the working groups so that they can come along and see what's going on. Should be fun.
Wow.
S390 is great.
Yeah, I saw a PR on Jam a while ago that I haven't seen any movement on it. Let me see who opened it.
Yeah, they're slowly working their way through trying to be able to rebuild the entire tool chain they need so they can build things. But yeah, they're ahead of the curve because, of course, they haven't really seen any of the multi-arch stuff coming through yet. So they're working on, well, how do I rebuild the entire world so that it can run on S390? Whereas I'm thinking, you might not have to if you wait a bit longer because we might be able to just cross-compile the bits you need and output an image that you need. But,
Mhm.
you know,
Cool.
just to let you know that, multi-arch is going to be very useful. It's going to be more than just ARM and Intel in the mix, most likely.
More and more. I hear this more and more every day.
Mm.
Awesome. Any other open mic discussions, questions, feedbacks, topic? Great. All right. Well, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.